For a long time, I used to think the answer to every problem was more. More money, more sales, more leads, more opportunities, more productivity, more hours worked, more effort, more hustle. If something wasn't working, my instinct was always the same: push harder, do more, find another opportunity, stack another responsibility on top, keep moving. Because somewhere along the way, I started believing that every problem could be solved by increasing something. And to be fair, sometimes that's true. If you're struggling financially, earning more can help. If you're lacking skills, learning more can help. If you're not putting in effort, working harder can help. But eventually I started noticing something strange. Some of the people who had the things that I thought I wanted didn't seem any more fulfilled than the people who didn't. They had more money, more status, more recognition, more accomplishments. They found out they went the wrong way. But many of them were still restless, right? Still stressed, still searching, still chasing something that they couldn't quite define. And if I'm being honest, there were seasons of my own life where I was doing the exact same thing. Every goal became a stepping stone to another goal. Every achievement became a reason to raise that standard again. Every win was quickly replaced by a new target. I rarely stopped long enough to actually ask myself whether I was moving forward towards the life I actually wanted. I was simply moving, and moving can be deceptive. You could be incredibly busy while drifting further and further away from what truly matters to you. You could be productive without being aligned. You can achieve things without becoming who you want to be. That has to be one of the hardest lessons I've ever had to learn, because I genuinely believe that if I just kept accumulating enough success, income, opportunities, accomplishments, peace would eventually show up in my life. But peace isn't something you stumble into at the end of a race. Peace comes from alignment, alignment between your values and your actions, alignment between what you say matters and how you actually spend your days, alignment between who you are becoming and the life that you're building. And that's where things began to change for me. I started paying attention to what I actually wanted, not what I told I should want, but not what looked impressive, not what felt and sounded successful, what I truly wanted. I wanted more time with my family. I wanted more freedom over my own schedule. I wanted to be present. I wanted to have room to actually think my own thoughts and not be thinking what's been programmed inside me from the environments I've been around, from the people I've allowed to dictate my subconscious mind. I wanted to work to support my life instead of consuming it. I wanted peace. And here's what surprised me. Many of those things weren't found by getting more. They were found by becoming more intentional, by saying no more often, by simplifying, by creating boundaries, by choosing priorities carefully, by being willing to walk away from the things that looked good but weren't aligned. The older I get, the more I realize that wisdom isn't always about adding things to your life. Sometimes and more often, it's about removing the things from your life that don't serve you, that don't serve the higher version and the higher purpose that you're seeking to align to. Removing distractions, removing the noise, removing the obligations that don't belong to you. You realize God speaks in a still small voice, right? You can't hear that over everything else. Removing pursuits that no longer fit who you're becoming. Because not everything that increases you, right? Not everything that increases your income increases the quality of life that you want for yourself. Not everything that advances your career advances your purpose. Not everything that looks like success actually leads to fulfillment. I used to think that more was the answer. Now I think alignment is. Not perfect alignment. I'm still learning and still adjusting, still making mistakes on a daily basis. But these days, before I commit to something, before I chase something, before I pursue another opportunity, I try to answer a question for myself. Does this move me closer to the life I've been trying to build? Or does it simply give me more? Because those are not always the same thing. Sometimes the most important decisions that you'll ever make aren't about what you choose to pursue. They're about what you choose not to pursue. And looking back, some of those best things that had happened in my life came after I stopped chasing everything, after I had stopped believing that more was automatically better, that after I stopped focusing on accumulation and more on alignment, less on achievement, more on stewardship, less on impressing people and having a surface mask, and more on becoming the man that I actually wanted to be. I still have goals. I still work hard. I still want to grow, but I'm no longer convinced that more is the answer, because some of the richest seasons of life, they have very little to do with having more and everything to do with finally understanding what matters truly. Till next time, peace.